talk about Days Gone. Get you in the right mood to talk about Days Gone.
Start with that one?
Yeah.
That's the least interesting game.
Let's start at the bottom and work our way
I
up.
want to end on a positive note. Because I know you have some feelings about Days Gone.
So they did a preview event.
They did. I went to it and I played 3 hours of Days Gone. And I like to like games, and so I never go into something thinking like, oh, this is going to be trash.
What?
I much prefer to like things.
I'll prefer to like things. But last time we talked about Telltale games, you were not super happy about.
I don't like Telltale. I didn't like their games at all. I never did.
He likes to like games. That doesn't mean he likes every video game.
Exactly.
He is bummed when he doesn't like video games.
I would rather like their games than not like them,
see.
but I just didn't like them.
Well, I was talking about the more premeditated, like, I'm not going to like this.
I still go.
You still gave them a shot.
But yeah, and especially in recent years, I give things a shot. I've given every goddamn Assassin's Creed game a shot, even though I've liked like 5% of them.
I thought you liked the last one.
The last one was fine. Origins was fine, and 2 is fine.
We do this all the time.
Hey, but it's a good example of like I will give anything a shot. Even if it doesn't seem like
anyway, Days Gone.
Yeah. So I went in. And I had heard all this stuff. All the trailers I had seen, all the gameplay stuff I had seen from all the E3s and all that. It was doing nothing for me.
Had you never played it before?
I had not.
Oh, okay. Because I played it a couple years ago at
yeah, it's been
E3.
playable forever.
We saw it at an event.
It's been at every E3 for the last decade.
Yeah, and Vinny and I went to some event, and it was like, there's Days Gone, and there's Spider-Man, and Dreams. It's like, let's go play these two interesting-looking games.
Tetris Effect.
These 3 awesome games. So I went in trying not to let that color my expectations, and I sat down, and I was like, all right, I'm going to play this for 3 hours. I hope this is good. I like open-world games. And I played for 3 hours, and I don't think I felt anything resembling a human emotion. It is boring even in the ways it's bad. It's not like hilarious, like broken or anything like that. I mean, it doesn't run very well, and like all that shit they showed of like the waves of zombies and all that stuff from the early like reveals. I didn't see any of that stuff. I saw one part where there was a decent amount of zombies running towards like a helicopter.
So what are you doing in it?
You are going around.
You are Deacon St. John.
You are Deacon St. John with your buddy Boozer. Which,
what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Carlos Boozer's in this game?
I don't know who that is.
He's a basketball player.
Oh, okay. It is just the most kind of lifeless, like trying to be like a Sons of Anarchy zombie game. It doesn't,
I like that. It's a good description.
I mean, like, I'm buying that if I'm on Netflix. I'm like, yeah.
I wrote down some like the whole tone of the game, like freakers are like the zombies or whatever. And like the dialogue is like, there's also like a gang of like weirdos called the Rippers or like a rival gang. And so at one point, these tats are dead symbols of a dead man. You are lost. You are not found. Like that's like verbatim dialogue.
I understood like every other word.
It's all like trying to seem like a crazy post-apocalypse zombie. Like it seems very lame. Like the whole tone of the game is very
but they're wearing motorcycles.
Does it feel forced? Is that what you're saying?
It all feels forced and like it's trying to be like cool biker Sons of Anarchy, Walking Dead stuff, but I don't like Sons of Anarchy or The Walking Dead, and this seems like a lame imitation of those.
So and on top of that, it's also a little bit of World War Z with the whole like, swarm zombie shit. So like
apparently, but I didn't see that.
As I was talking to I think it was I forget who I was talking to, but I was like, it is the most 2013 game pitch imaginable. It is everything that was popular that year. And they're somehow found a way to try and smush all those things together.
Yeah, like Last of Us and Sons of Anarchy. And
you played Ride to Hell, right?
I played the entirety of it twice.
Okay, yes. So you've seen biker stuff done right.
Obviously. That was way more enjoyable than the 3 hours. Wow. I mean, no, it's a worse game objectively, but I got more joy out of playing that for sure.
Your human emotion.
Yes. Okay, so I'll start with like the beginning. Like I played the first part, and at one point in the demo, it brings you ahead to like when the open world is more open. And you start out and...
It's third person...
Yeah. Open world zombie game. And it's like all biker stuff, so you're on your motorcycle a lot. And I started doing... Yeah, there's this motorcycle chase at the beginning where you're chasing this guy. I think his name's like Leon, and he's a bad guy. He's throwing Molotov cocktails behind him and everything. And you're swerving and stuff trying to avoid the explosions. But it felt super duper slow, and it was supposed to be this like crazy chase thing. And I was like, is something wrong here? And at one point it said hold X to boost. And I was like, here we go. Let's get in. This is gonna feel like Burnout in a second. And I started holding it, and it was like indiscernible speed difference. And so it was just a very plodding motorcycle chase with this guy. It just felt like this very scripted old. It felt like an open world game from 2013 or so or before.
How's it running around?
Bad. Okay. There are times where it locks you out from running. That bothers me.
Wait, what?
Yeah, where like you're in the camp
forced
and
walking.
stuff like that. That's just a pet peeve of mine.
Where he thinks about something.
Yeah, you're walking around the camp. Like there's a camp you return to. There are numerous camps, but I only saw like one big one basically where it's like, oh, I can turn in all my freaker ears or whatever, and you know.
Wait. He's collecting ears?
You collect ears at some point.
And that
yes.
becomes a currency?
It is a currency, and there's like a kitchen, so like if you hunt stuff, you can like give him the pelts or the meat or whatever and throw it in a stew or something.
This feels like it's doing
human meat?
No, it's like you can hunt animals.
I'm just saying, this feels like it's doing all the parts of Red Dead you didn't like.
Yeah, I liked Red Dead a lot more than what I played.
I'm very curious how the world got so bad that zombie ears became valuable.
Yeah, that's a currency of some sort. And like, just the way your dude talks, like when it's teaching you how to make like a first aid thing, or no, you're trying to make a bandage, and by making a bandage, you have to get a rag and like a first aid spray
and your nose and a freaker nose,
and your guy's like talking to himself and narrating like, okay, yeah, so now I just got to put them together, and yes, there's the bandage. Like it's just all of it feels.
Sounds good.
Wrong. Okay, so here's when we're talking about actual gameplay stuff. Yeah. Here's the thing that maybe irked me the most. The tone was bad from beginning to end. Any kind of sense of action or speed or tension or anything was non-existent.
It just seems like not a lot of zombies even.
No, I mean, I saw 3 hours of it. There could be times where it's more like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed.
They have to have the swarm stuff still in there.
You would think so?
But maybe they're just like specific scripted sequences.
Yeah, something.
The fucking like crowd control stuff. So there are parts where like you'll go to a town and there's a bunch of zombies everywhere and they'll kind of swarm you. But it's typically just like a handful of them. But think about games like Dead Rising, which are all about like number of zombies on the screen, and you're like getting these weapons, and you're just like sweeping through and knocking down 8, 10 zombies or whatever at a time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, fun stuff like that, or even like a Dynasty Warriors. Games where it's like, hey, we're overwhelming you with enemies, and you got to try to kind of clear.
You're crowd controlling.
Yeah, and this it's absolutely terrible. It's like it locks you into like one enemy and you're like mashing R2 to do your melee stuff, and then if one is like approaching you from the left or right or behind, you move your stick in that direction and do it. But it always feels like I am looking at you, I am fighting this one enemy. It's never like I'm being overwhelmed by this mob and I need to fight my way free
like
and get to my bike. Yeah, it's right. Nothing like that. I mean, maybe there's weapons later on or whatever, but again, I played 3 hours of this game and didn't feel any of that. And it seems to kind of want to half-ass some of this like State of Decay stuff, where like I was seeing tooltips saying, when you're on your motorcycle, try to coast downhill to conserve fuel. And, you got to really think about if there's like a big jump or something. This isn't like San Francisco Rush. You're not just like going off ramps or whatever. It will damage your bike. And if your bike gets screwed up, it's like, well, you're going to have to figure out how to like repair it or something.
So it's open world?
It's totally open world.
Open world, but you have like a home base and you're going out on missions.
It's not like a set home base. I got the impression there were going to be several bases you could go to in like little towns or whatever where you can do your currency stuff or whatever. But it seems like it wants to do some of that State of Decay stuff where you got to really kind of think about this. Like, oh, I went out, I'm far from home and my car broke down. And like, how am I going to, but they do that with bikes. But I never felt any real sense of danger whatsoever.
What kind of stuff are we talking about in terms of weapons? Is it ammo scarcity? Is it one of those things where you're just like, man, I don't want to waste a bullet because I've only got 5 and, I'm mostly using a 2x4 with a nail through it?
I never felt like I was flush with ammo, but I never had any kind of sense of like, oh man, I got to make this shot.
Like you're overwhelmed.
I felt zero tension throughout the entire time.
Is it stealth? Like, are you? Because that's kind of what they showed at E3 was like, better.
Yeah, the demo they showed 2 years ago at E3 was specifically not you going after zombies, but you going after like a bad camp of people, and so like you're like springing traps and like trying to like stealth your way around this camp. But even then, that stuff I remember looking very rough. Like a lot of that stuff just did not look like it felt very good.
Almost using the zombies as kind of a third faction.
Yeah. None of that came through. I mean, there are times where, you can sneak up on stuff. You can make like these traps and you could try to distract people or whatever, but it didn't feel like it was anything moving like open world stealth action beyond, 5-6 years ago.
All right. Well...
So that game's going to come out in a month.
I think I wrote things that were good. Let me see here that I enjoyed. Oh, the performance was terrible. It was very, very choppy. That was not good at all. I did kind of like the way, so the map, in so many open world games, the old Ubisoft thing where it's like if you get to a tower and it opens up a big section, or even like Breath of the Wild. This did an interesting thing where it's like, since it's this post-apocalyptic world and, they don't have any like functioning radio towers or anything like that, as you go through, like if you go down a road or something on your map, all that you're uncovering is like the very immediate area around the road. So instead of like opening up a giant region on your map at one time, it's like, no, here's the very specific route you took and you can't see much past that.
So
I
if you
kind of
would
thought
have
that
to
was
walk into
interesting.
the woods or the areas around that to actually open that stuff up.
Yeah, I
So,
felt like I was like drawing with a pencil over the
Your
map instead of
discovery
like
radius isn't like what it is in like Red Dead or something like that.
totally or damn near any open world game.
Sure.
I've played. So I thought that was kind of clever. But it just seems like they're trying to like half-ass some like survival and crafting stuff, and none of it works. It's everything from the tone to the gameplay to the performance to the writing. It's none of it landed with me. I have talked to several people that liked it. And so maybe it's just me, but
well, I mean, from what I played, this all sounds familiar. So
Yeah.
it felt So you had similar thoughts?
I mean, it was like a year and a half ago or whatever.
Oh
Yeah, the demos I've sat through were like uniformly not impressive.
Yeah, I have zero interest in playing that game. I mean, I'll try it, but I do not have high hopes at all. It seemed like a big old bunch of nothing.
I mean, we don't, again, it's not out yet, but if this doesn't do okay, this would be like the first one in a while that's like an exclusive of theirs, right? Am I right?
For Sony?
Sony does great stuff.
Where
Sony's had a pretty good track.
I mean, they've been up and down
an
over the
exclusive
years, but in
stinker.
recent years, they've been doing just fine.
Yeah.
On that
This would
front.
be the
Uncharted.
first stinker.
There hasn't been a lot of muscle behind this one recently.
Well,
so
and you could also tell like it's no longer like a bullet
a
point.
big flagship.
Yeah, it went from a game that was like getting breakout sessions at E3 to the game that was just sort of in the play area. It's like, hey, you can play it if you want.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Okay, so that's Days Gone coming out pretty soon here, about a month
April
off.
End of April,
26th
yeah.
or something.
And that was about 3 hours you played of it.
Played the beginning and played a big chunk of open world.